Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden. I hope that you enjoyed yesterday's video where I toured you around a little bit through my autumnal garden, and just in case if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to give you the link just down below here so you can just click on it and enjoy that video as well. But what I want to do today is I want to do some planting, as I've already announced. And in case if this is the first video that you ever see of me in my garden, my name is Daniel. I'm gardening here at the south coast of the Baltic Sea. It is a zone 7B. I'm just outside the city of Gdansk in Poland, and my garden is on top of a dike. And I'm just standing at the base of the dike basically. So there you can see up there is a top garden, and this is a dike here which I've leveled into terraces, and you can see a lot of ugly black landscape fabric still, which I start hiding and mantling. I have a system for which I'm also going to show you in a second, just in case if you've never seen it, one of my winter projects. But what I want to do today and into the next coming following videos is I want to focus on how to introduce autumnal beauty into your own garden. I was at the garden center and I found some really exciting things, and I'm really thrilled to share it with you. So there are obviously different ways on how you can incorporate more autumnal beauty into your garden. Number one is autumnal foliage, then there are blooms, but there are also berries, and then there are some plants that combine all of those elements basically. So what I want to do is I want to break it down into 4, maybe 5 separate videos, so you can really focus on one single area of the garden, introduce a plant to you. And exactly where I'm standing right now, this is where I want to start planting with you today, at the base of the slope. So I hope that you are excited to see what I've got for you. My garden assistant is with me today again. This is Alfie, my little white fluffy Maltipoo, just munching on a... yeah, that is a hydrangea that I planted with you in one of my midsummer videos. I'm going to give you a closer look at that situation. So this is the back of a garden. This is a slope, and you still see a lot of ugly black landscape fabric. But up there, can you see it from here? I hope you can a little bit. Maybe if I walk around, there is some black wood up there. And this is my method on how I'm going to hide it and mantle everything, because I did a little testing here in the vegetable garden. I think it looks fantastic. So this is really what I want to do and continue. And I already bought those fan sections, so I'm just working my way through staining those beautiful dahlias, by the way. Oh, still love them. But what I want to do and focus on is this area here today, pretty much where Alfie lies now. This is where I want to continue some planting. So what do I already have here? Here are some asters. They actually came from root cuttings that I did earlier on in the year. So this is a variety called Schöne von Dietlikon, and it is definitely a beauty. Schöne means beauty of Dietlikon. Very wonderful variety, and you can tell healthy all the way down to the base of the plant. No powdery mildew, not a single leaf really bronzed off. I never water this area here throughout the entire summer, so yeah, it looks really cute. And then I've got some Bistorta. They just decided to self-seed in the garden. I didn't know where to put them, so I was like, oh, I don't have the heart to just like throw them out yet. So they came here. I think this is Taurus, if I'm not wrong. And then Alfie sitting in the area where I want to plant. Here were some more amaranth, and they were no happy campers. Isn't it bizarre that up here I have the same variety and it looks nice and really grew to its full size and potential, and then just down here it looks like that. You can hardly see them. They're really sad looking, but all right. And then here is one of the hydrangeas that I planted. Well, it doesn't have a lot of foliage because I planted it really the beginning of summer, and it had quite a shock from the heat and everything. So it kind of dropped all of its leaves, but it came back with fresh leaves. It survived. It looks nice. So I'm very optimistic about it. And here is the area where I want to plant. I put some fresh mulch here. It looks nice, and it is definitely ready for some planting. So what I'm going to do now is grab my plants, put them here, and then show you what I want to introduce into this area. There you go, nothing is planted yet. I just put the containers there, but instantly you can see the difference, and I think you can already see from the distance on why I needed to have these plants. So what I want to introduce into this area are 6 asters, a variety that I never grew before, and 2 hydrangeas, again, something that is complete new to my garden. So first, I want to show you these asters because they also came with a label, which is obviously always exciting, so I can exactly show you what I'm planting here. It is Aster Novi Belgii Marie Ballard. It prefers full sun, which it will get for most part of the day. There's a little bit of shade throughout lunchtime, but I think that is all right. And it's got to grow up to 1 meter in height, clearly not in a container though. But the one thing that definitely caught my attention, and I knew this variety before, are the blooms. Look at these. Look how big a single bloom is. Double and double, an amazing color. It's kind of like steely blue, purple, violet. Very special, and I think it is just a wonderful combination with this just amazing autumnal display from these hydrangeas. I mean, aren't they just fabulous? I think you can really understand on why I needed to have those. And again, they came with a label. So normally when you buy hydrangeas, obviously you buy them because of the blooms. But here I was like, I don't even care how the blooms are going to look like. I just want to have it for the foliage. Where's the label? Here it is. So I'm going to plant Hydrangea macrophylla bluebird. So clearly it's supposed to be blue. I don't really think it's got to be blue here just because of my soil. I'm going to give you some information about it in a second. There were some blooms in here, so at least I kind of know on how they look when they age, which I think is nice because when you have these kind of like chartreuse color blooms in contrast to this wonderful autumnal foliage, I think this is really great. And especially in the afternoon, this is west facing, when the sun comes from there, I think this foliage is just going to glow like rubies. So what I want to do first is I want to give you some key details about these blooms. Well, Alfie is very happy with the new mulch that I put here, because new mulch means maybe some nice wooden chunks and sticks are in there to munch on, right? Before I'm going to start the planting, I just want to give you some key details about both of these plants, and I just put them next to these wonderful dahlias, and isn't that a great combination? So I think I have to remind myself that next year I'm going to put some of these dahlias next to these wonderful hydrangeas, because I think that that is a wonderful little miniature garden and color concept going on here. But before that happens, let me just fill you in about these beautiful asters here. So this is Aster Novi Belgii. And when you do your research, this variety, some people say that it can be a little difficult in your garden. Like generally, Novi Belgii asters, they can have powdery mildew quite easily. I don't have it here. I'm very successful with that variety, so that clearly does not worry me. The second thing might happen, because I've shown you that these single flowers are quite big. Beautiful impact, but what it means is that they can be quite top heavy, and then these asters start to lay flat on the ground. And since I have a lot of wind traveling here, because we're so exposed with the open landscape, that is something that might happen here. And there is a little trick to the whip on how to prevent it from happening. Some people say it might be good to give these asters a Chelsea chop, which basically means about June time, when there is a Chelsea flower show, you come in with your secateurs and you just cut it back half or maybe a third, and then these asters start to branch out with side branches. They don't grow to such a height eventually. They will also flower later, obviously, but they might be more robust. But seeing them here in these containers, I'm kind of optimistic that it might work here even without the Chelsea chop. And we're at the base of the slope here, so sometimes the wind does not hit as hard as on the top of the slope. So I just try it, and fingers crossed, because clearly, I mean, come on, they are wonderful. How could I possibly resist in the garden center? Then the hydrangea. I already did some videos about hydrangeas. I did a cutting video about like how to trim back hydrangea paniculata limelight. Those are the ones that I predominantly grow in my garden. And then I also did some planting videos about hydrangea macrophylla. So whatever you're planting, there's one thing that you really need to know, which is important for the flowers, is how to trim them back, how to cut them back in winter time. So about February, March time, I'm going to do a video on how to cut your hydrangeas correctly, because now at this point I have all different kind of hydrangeas in my garden, and I can really do a video just dedicated to make sure that whatever hydrangea you grow in your garden, you will definitely have wonderful blooms. Speaking of blooms, the soil, that is very important for what kind of flowers you will expect, especially here on the macrophylla variety, because this is supposed to flower bluebird, but they only produce blue blooms when you have acidic soil, which I don't have. I have neutral garden soil. It's very sandy here, so normally they will come to bloom in pink. So what you can do, this is something that I did in one of my previous videos, you can amend the soil. So you just like remove a lot of the native soil and come in with special soil just for hydrangeas, which is an acidic soil, so that the roots sit exactly in that soil condition that they like. But if you don't want to do it, and today I don't want to do it, I'm just going to put some nice fresh garden compost in here. I could come in with soil acidifier if I want to have blue blooms, but I think maybe I don't. Maybe I just want to have pink blooms here. So let's see. Mainly I told you I really just bought it for the autumn foliage because I think this is wonderful. They thrive, I think, extremely well in this area here because they do get sun, but they also have like a certain amount of shade throughout lunchtime. So when the sun is really burning here, those leaves should stay looking nice. One thing that hydrangeas don't like, the word hydrangea, hydro, is always a good indicator. They really don't like to dry out too much, especially the macrophylla varieties. The paniculata, from my experience, they can cope with that a lot better. But since we're here at the base of the slope, this is where all the water basically just like rinses off. So this is quite moist and everything is mulched in quite thoroughly, which means that the soil holds the moisture fairly well here. And that gives me hope and makes me optimistic that this is bound to work. So what I'm going to do now is I will prepare the area and then I will start some planting with you. I've already prepared my planting area and I already planted the first couple of things because my phone was empty and needed to charge, but this is ideal because now everything is ready for planting. So first thing I want to plant is the second hydrangea, and I even see it now the sun comes around here. How glorious the foliage looks with the sun on it. Isn't that just an amazing sight? So generally when you plant something, rule of thumb is I will always recommend to enrich the soil in the area where you're planting, and you want to make sure that you dig out a hole which is pretty much triple the size of the container, because then there will be a lot of nice fresh soil all the way around it and these plants can root in happily. Whatever you buy, which is a shrub, a tree, a perennial, it is so vital and important that whatever you buy, these plants have a good strong root system, because when winter comes all the energy goes back into these roots here, and next year the new fresh plants are feeding on a good strong root system. So whatever I do in the garden center, I tip a plant over and inspect the root system. You don't want that they are pot bound, which means that the roots are growing round around like crazy and it's a big tangle. You also don't want that the entire root ball falls apart, which clearly it doesn't. So the roots hold the shape really nice here. They're not really pot bound. Not a single root was growing like from the base of the pot. So I don't think that I'm going to break it loose, because then you don't disturb it, and this is always the best thing. You always go in there and break it loose when it's really pot bound. So first thing to do is I already dug a hole in a good size, and now I come in with fresh good garden soil just to fill the hole up. Like that, that looks good. And then I come in with organic bone chips. I already prepared the area for the asters. I'm just going to do it now here with you together for the hydrangea. The organic bone chips, they're basically just like dry shredded bone chips, and what they do is they enrich the soil, they break down to nitrogen, and exactly that is what encourages these plants to produce more, better and stronger roots, and this is what you want to have. You really want to make sure that your plants have a nice, good, strong root system. So what I do now is I just dig them under so that they are everywhere in the soil. So when these plants root in, that they are surrounded by this goodness all the way around. So this is what I'm going to do. One thing I haven't mentioned before, by the way, is that these hydrangeas can grow 1 meter to 1.50 meters in height. But since I don't water them, generally they won't grow to such a height here in my garden. And then what I do is I always tell you, plant everything dead level. With these hydrangeas, because they require a little bit more moisture, I will actually plant them a little bit in a dip. So just slightly, like half a centimeter lower to soil level, but just like gently tap it in so that all the excessive water, and especially rain in summer, will kind of just like go into this area here, because they really appreciate it and benefit from that. So firm it in nicely, really just like with your fist like this all the way around, because you don't want to have air pockets in here, because air pockets mean in winter that any excessive moisture might collect in there, and then it's going to freeze at your roots. Really not good, really not what you want to have, because that might create some damage on your roots. I'm just going to push back some of the mulch, so that looks cute. And now I try to move delicate as possible to the front here. So next thing I'm going to do is plant my asters, and I've already prepared everything. So again, They're very brittle. I need to be careful. I already broke once. Damn, I was so sad. So again, the same situation. The roots look extremely good. They hold the shape, so I'm very happy with these. I'm just going to push them in, and the asters I'm definitely going to grow or put in the ground dead level, because this is actually what they do really enjoy. So where do I have more? Here, this is the one where I broke a stem, or the next one, I'm not sure now. I think the next one it is actually. Oh, so sad, but you know what? Next year they're going to come back with more fresh, good, vigorous growth. So here I've already prepared everything, so bone chips are in here. And the last one goes in here, more towards the front. I'm going to push that a little further to the back, because I still need to have a little bit of a path for walking here. This is the one thing. Maybe some more bone chips, right? Just do some goodness in the plant. Taking hold. All right, and the last one. Yeah, see, this is where I broke a stem. Just 2 left. I was so clumsy, but you know it, right? That happens. I think that happens to everybody. So next year, let's see, them can grow to a height of roughly 1 meter as well, which would be great. I think now they're maybe like 60 centimeters at most. And normally, since asters grow very good and healthy and strong and happily here, I'm really optimistic that next year I'm going to have like asters really like this high. I'm not sure if this is in the frame, but this will be very beautiful. Yeah, look at them. Oh, so cute. Maybe I need a little bit more mulch. I already have a bag down here. Maybe not now. I think I am all right. Yeah, that is it with a plant hang. Now it's really perfect that I just managed it now this time of the day, because the sun comes around, and now I can give you one last look of this area also from up there, because from there you can really see how important this beautiful foliage accent is in this part of the garden. Alfie found the perfect area for her nap. Actually, she just sat there at the corner the entire time to observe me what I was doing, but clearly she enjoys the dahlias just as much as I do, and I really enjoy the combination now from this angle. I'm going to give you a closer look obviously, but the dahlias with the amaranth, and then in the back there the blue aster starting to bloom, and this perfect red foliage of those hydrangeas. So let me just walk around and give you a closer look at this situation. Oh, here's a sunflower. So let's go here. The amaranth is blocking the sight a little bit, but oh my, look at that foliage color now in the afternoon sun. Isn't that magical? This is really one of the reasons and why I love autumn so much, because you have all of these amazing colors suddenly. And now imagine how it's going to look with the petunias here when the asters in the same color come to bloom. Then I have the red foliage, and still I have the dahlias. Even though I told you in yesterday's video that this dahlia is not 100% my preferred variety, it produces a lot of more blooms and more buds here. So I'm really expecting more wonderful color in this area. I'm definitely gonna give you updates on it. And one thing that still crossed my mind was eventually I'm gonna buy 2-3 more of these beautiful hydrangeas, maybe one here on the opposite side. So it is a little bit of a nice triangle. And then maybe if I swing around to the other side here, how about 2 of those there? Wouldn't that be nice as well? I think that might work really beautifully, just thinking about it, because one of the nice things about these hydrangeas is that I found them tucked in the last corner of the garden center, which means that the price tags are still from last year or 2 years ago, so no inflation prices on those. So they were still a nice, good bargain, which obviously makes me think like, yeah, I think I want to have more of them. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and hope it was interesting for you. That was pretty much part 1 of introducing autumnal beauty into my garden, and maybe that was encouraging for you to go out to your own local garden center and find something to amp up your own autumnal garden. More videos are on the way. I still have some really intriguing plants, some new additions to my garden that I've never grown before, that I never had in my own garden. So I'm very excited to share all of that with you. More videos are also going to come here. So I'm already starting to stain fence sections into black, wooden fences that I'm going to use to mask all of that. So some of those videos are also on the way, because at one point I want to stand here with a nice backdrop, but that is going to happen in the future. Before that, I'm going to do more and more planting with you. So all I can do now is say thank you so much for watching today's video, and also thank you so much if you decide to subscribe to my channel, and I would obviously love to welcome you in my garden next time around. Take care, guys. Bye.